Okay, so still trying to figure out. It's the first day. We're going to play it by ear, so that we can figure out our live situation. But today is the first day of Hackers and Hookah. Let me know if you can hear just fine. If not, then we'll have to fix it in the next round. Next Sunday, it's definitely going to be really live in the sense of we'll be setting up a little bit more of our stage set type situation. Um, Always someone interested, and if not, oh well. But all right. Let's see what other features can I pull into this thing. If not, I'll be going back to another streaming um, environment to help boost this one to make it happen. But talking about hacker techniques, mostly talking about some of the stuff that my students in the red team course have gone through, and my students have definitely gone through a significant amount in the last 4 or so days, just to make sure that they are in a solid hacker mindset. Starting to realize that reconnaissance is a big part, but taking the next step into weaponization and exploitation is another big piece in itself. So, just for the sake of it, I'm going to just continue to go and talk, and if it turns into a hacker's ramble, then so be it. But one of the big things I want to talk about is the environment that was created for said students. Our students are put into an environment that is a fully contained environment outside of the allocation of certain internet resources. But it's pretty cool because if you are listening and you're a student inside the environment, just as a brief reminder, the environment does have 3 different firewalls outside of the one that you go through. And inside that environment, you also have some Linux systems, you have a Unix system, and then you have your Windows systems that are there. Now, inside that environment, it is very important to make sure that you understand your own security posture as well as your own tooling. One of the big things that I want to touch on is that when you look at IP addresses and you can find those IP addresses as well as the associated services with those IP addresses, one of the first things that you may realize or see is that you're going to get a lot of exploits. You're going to get a lot of exploits, you're going to get a lot of vulnerabilities, and that's the point of it, at least for the first challenge, because we want to make sure that you have sound knowledge of identifying your environment, how to move around that environment. So, a couple of things that are open in the environment. Most SSH is open, and one of the things that people don't realize is that IP addresses have a little bit more than SSH capabilities. They also identify the entities as well as the operating system that's there. You can plug those into a significant amount of tools. Nmap, Metasploit, Durbuster. You have a couple other tools out there that can help you identify inside the environment. You also have a couple other tools that can help you figure out some additional exploits. But one of the major tools that people forget about is the browser. Some of those IP addresses do have a lot of value tied to them. So if you were to put those, let's say, in your browser, you might find out that some of the systems are running very specific things that lead to other gateways or CTFs inside the environment. And capture flags are really big. They're really big inside this environment because it helps you get your points. That will allow you to get ahead of the rest of the participants inside the environment. So something to definitely take a look at. And welcome to the first raw session of Hackers and Hookah, extremely raw. I was trying it through YouTube Studio first, instead of tying it to like OBS or even Twitch or Restream or any of those platforms right away, just try to see what kind of capabilities are here. I guess I don't have enough followers or subscribers to get all the perks that YouTube has because I've been neglecting YouTube since I'm not a huge, I have not been a huge social butterfly when it comes to online platforms, but very important to know that there will be a change as we go forward. So if you are a student and you are listening, any student, you can put something in the chat. Chat is open, FYI. If you do have questions, you're just listening, maybe you're looking for some information, you're looking for some resources, some starting points, if you're looking for some books or what have you, Hackers and Hookah is coming to a more broadcasted platform just so we can have that going. Appreciate the message. It helps. Let's just say that. So I am monitoring some of the students putting messages in the Slack. So I do appreciate that. So how's everyone doing? This is supposed to be a little bit more of a social type situation. We did have this on a different venue, but we had some eggheads inside that environment that chose a social and political stance instead of cyber stance inside the platform, which is the reason why we moved to YouTube. So if you happen to look at this as a recording, or if you were to look at this some other way and not live, just let you know that we are. I did this one today so we can start moving forward. They always say when you're about to start something, you start with the first step, and so this is us starting with that first step. Looks like this particular camera is not bad, so we'll have to check it out and see if any of our other cameras might be better or worse, because that's always a possibility. Any questions for the two observers that are here right now? No? I think the one thing that drives me nuts and the reason why I didn't do Hackers and Hookah on YouTube right away is because it's when you try to get that like interaction and feedback, I feel like it's tougher on YouTube. It's definitely more talking at people. Let's see, checking in. How you doing? Having trouble downloading Dirtbuster? What kind of issues are you having with Dirtbuster? It would say not found. Okay, so if you're having trouble with Dirtbuster or just kind of doing the app, if you're doing, let's say, sudo app install, try sudo app get install, app dash get install. And if that doesn't work, that means that you actually have to go to the website for Dirtbuster, their resource website, and then try to find a wget. So normally you have to do wget or curl to actually pull that download or installation package from the website instead of trying to get it from Ubuntu repo. So if you're doing this in Ubuntu, which you stated you were doing it in Ubuntu, you want to make sure that you point your apt command at another repository, because if it's not inside the Ubuntu repository, it will say not found inside that repository. So something to take into consideration. I know if the Linux Basics for Hackers, it talks about wget as well as curl inside that environment to help. So hopefully that helps when it comes to getting your resources. Typically, when it comes to getting tools that aren't part of repos, you have to pull them from the website or an environment. If you're doing that in command line, you will have to use the wget command with the proper link and the proper access or pointer to that directory or repository where that data is going to be located, where that package is going to be located. It's something that I always ran into when it came to like Raspberry Pis or using the chip or any of the other small form factor systems that I build from scratch. You have to bring a lot of those resources down because a lot of those resources are limited. And for students, the Linux administration book has that as well. So if you're curious, it definitely has that as well, and that can help by far. So I'm going to talk about this student environment just because next week I'll actually have a topic dedicated just to the masses. But as far as the student environment, because I know my students are pretty much going to look at this video more than anyone else right now, but it's your environment is as open as it possibly can be right now for information. It may not feel like it because this is your first kind of like open challenge, hacker challenge, and CTF. But take that in consideration that at least it's that open. I even had our blue teamers, like our official blue teamers, we decided to have them sit this one out just because we're watching the progress, and we decided to have them sit this one out, and we'll just make that the next challenge, security posture 2. And then we have some students that are catching up. So we really want to make this one a little bit more of like, hey, it's a practice. This is kind of like fill out the environment, because what we do is destroy this entire environment. Just go ahead, scorch earth it, and even change the IP addressing, everything else, and change how the systems operate, how they're built, how they're hardened, how they communicate with other systems. A lot of these pieces are going to be destroyed and won't be seen again until the next red team course, because you'll be moving up in the challenges. So very, very important to know. But good questions, though. We got some serious pollen blowing around outside right now with these high winds. I wonder if just north of Phoenix is going to get a tornado again. But yeah, so as we go through this, there's a couple of things I'm going to go through. So our next topic will, in its entirety, be Metasploit. And so I will be going super in depth through Metasploit and making sure that the hackers, people that are trying to learn Metasploit a little bit more in depth, understand it. I myself will be going back through it, at least dedicating, I would say, like a good 25 more hours to it, just to cover all the ins, take some more notes for you guys. That way I can put them all in a description and everything else for people. And then we'll have our recap page. It'll end up being on our website on securynation.com. So it'll be on that. That we can have a recap from the talks and some of the notes as well. And we'll create some PDFs so they can be downloaded. Make sure that stuff happens. And this particular venue is going to be like a short and sweet one. Like I said, for all other viewers, if you're not part of the course, then you're welcome to every single Hackers and Hookah. It's open to the public. Just this one, because we want to just get that first leg started. We decided to, on the YouTube side of it, we decided to just go ahead and kind of make this a short and sweet, get to the point one. So. Any questions? I will be doing a midweek live session to talk about freelancing. I will also be talking about bug bounty hunting. So I think I will be doing 2 live sessions a week. One will be Hackers and Hookah, and the other one would be just cyber career. Would you consider it a script kiddie tool? No. I do not consider Metasploit a script kiddie tool. Now, are there ways for script kiddies to use it? Yeah, absolutely. Just like everything else that you find in GitHub or all the forums, Reddit, Kali.com, Para.com, Samurai, Pin2. There's tons of quick access scripts out there or commands. And this is actually a good topic, so I'm happy you brought that question up. What is a script kiddie? So the truth is, a script kiddie is somebody who doesn't take the time to put depth into their knowledge. That's to me that's the greatest definition for it. I used to say like, oh yeah, script kiddies are people that they just find scripts online and they use them. They don't know what they're doing. Where actual hackers or cyber professionals, they understand every single thing that they're doing and whatnot. But the truth is that's not necessarily the case. A script kiddie is someone who doesn't have depth behind their actions, which means that if they execute that script, they may not know how that script was generated and how it works on the ins and outs, which means they don't have a lot of ability to configure that script if it doesn't give them the adequate output, or if it doesn't work upon execution right away. They kind of just go like, oh, it didn't work, and I used the super user command or sudo, or even put it in root mode where you use sudo space su. And so one of the things that I learned is that as a professional, if you were to use something that you didn't create, what you typically do or work with is you actually go in and go, okay, what kind of language is this script written in? And then you go to the configuration file, or you go to the files, the conf page for that script itself. So if it's a .py, or if it's a .bat, it's a bash. So, or if it's sh, or if it's Ruby or Perl, or if it's something that you trying to build in JavaScript, any of those things. One of the biggest things that professionals do is we actually go in and look at it. We look at the flow of it, see what's working, and then we can actually identify like, okay, I try to point it at this IP address, but it requires me to make sure it can see outside the network instead of just inside the network. It requires me to understand that not only do I just use a root access or root permissions to execute this, but I have to set necessary parameters for this to work as well. And then after you do that, you understand the ramifications of using that. And so that's where cyber professionals goes, okay, if I'm going to use this web scraper, am I going to allow this web scraper to go onto Twitter and just unleash all over Twitter or any other platform? Well, most cyber professionals know that's a bad situation if you do that. If you let it go out there, it's just going to keep going and keep going. You get tons of data. You're going to have tons of violations. You could possibly get flagged. I mean, there's so many different things that could come with that. Whereas script kiddies will, they're like, oh, I want to figure something out, and they unleash it. They start getting data, but even those script kiddies don't know how to siphon, or I would say decipher, or go through that data and make sure that that data is something that's readable or something they can output into like a CSV file format, put structure to where they can work on it and use it properly, or even change the parameters. Let's say of like a web scraper or something like that. That's what's really important. So when you get a book or you look at a website or you go through those items, then you'll see how it works. And then also when it comes to Metasploit, Metasploit is what we call a tool chest tool. It has a lot of functionality of its own, but it has a lot of bolt-on plugins that happen to be their own independent projects or tools that Rapid7 and the other organizations have allowed have an integration between each other. That's what kind of steps it out of the realm of being just a script kiddie tool, is because it has so many abilities to be an all-in-one tool, and you don't have to go through the pro version to use it either. You can just go through the framework, the Metasploit framework. So pretty awesome. I think this is going to be a great topic next week when I go through the walkthroughs, setting it up, and making sure everything is solid and legit, and we'll keep pushing and going from there. It's a very good question. Now, as we go forward, for anyone that watches recording or you're watching this live, obviously there's only 2 people. I'm very candid. I don't care. I'm from the East Coast. One of the things I'll say is that I'll be doing a lot of screen sharing and then I'll be talking kind of on the side, like in a little bubble or whatever. And then after that, I will be going to the space of I'm just kind of doing more questions and answering questions while I do screen shares and operate in that manner. So it'll be pretty solid. So for everyone who did attend and asking questions. I'm not going to broadcast your name on this because you don't deserve that, that unfriendly exposure in today's cyber environment. When you put people's real names and stuff out there, it's never a good thing anymore. It used to be nice, but it's never a good thing now. For everyone that's attending, stuff like that, appreciate it. And next week we'll be diving in strongly on Metasploit, and then after that we'll be having different tools or topics that we dive into as well. I wanted to dive into the careers, but we'll make that the third episode of this series. And so if you cannot attend and this happens to be your first one that you see and you made it all the way to the end, just let you know, you can always go through our playlist because there will be a Hackers and Hookah playlist that you can go into and just kind of go to whatever video you want to watch. With that note, stay curious, stay cyber safe, and stay cyber strong. This is your Cyber Shogun signing off. Later.